Hello everybody, and welcome to 10-Minute Nodes, a guide to the visual scripting tool for space engineers. Today, we'll be taking a quick look at logic gates and how they work. So here for logic gate nodes, we can see that it supports Boolean operations, so and, NAND, OR, NOR, XOR, and NOT. All operations except NOT can have as many inputs as needed for the script, and inputs and outputs are all a type of Boolean. So moving on here to a website I found, I'll link this in the description if you guys want to check it out. This does a pretty good job of explaining how gates work. I do want to keep in mind that this website only covers these gates having two inputs. However, as it said in the visual scripting tool, you can have as many inputs as needed. The logic behind these gates are the same. So you have an AND gate to start out with here, and an AND gate looks for all of its inputs to be true. That's your number one rule for this. It just looks for all inputs to be true. Otherwise, you'll get a false return. This doesn't matter how many inputs you have. You can kind of think of it as multiplication. So you take all your inputs and multiply them together. If your output of that is 0, then it's going to be false. And if your output of that is 1, then it's going to be true. So the OR gate looks for either input or both inputs to be true. So it means any combination of inputs being true will always result in a true output, and if all inputs are false, only then will it display a false. It's pretty simple. You can think of this one more in the case of addition. So you take your inputs and you add them together. If it equals 0, then obviously you're going to get a false output, but if it equals 1 or higher, then it will equal a true output. Moving on, we have the XOR or exclusive OR gate. And what this gate looks for is only one input to be true. If more than one input are true, then you're going to get a false output. However, if only one input is true, you will get a true output. And then the next thing we're going to go on is the NOT gate. So a NOT gate is just a logical inverter, as it says here. So it takes your input and it'll flip it. Moving on to some of the more complex gates, we have a NAND gate, which is just a AND gate and a NOT gate combined together. As such, it pretty much reverses the logic table or the truth table for an AND gate. So in this case, it looks for at least one of its inputs to be false, and that'll give you a true output. However, if all of the inputs are true, it'll give you a false output. Moving below that, we have a NOR gate, which is an OR gate followed by an inverter. And again, this just inverts an OR gate, so it will literally look for all of its inputs to be false. Otherwise, it'll give you a false output. And that's pretty much it for logic gates. Here's what they look like in the visual scripting tool. You can access these by right-clicking and then going down to logic gates and selecting the one that you wish. Now, I do want to point out here, you can actually create NORs and NANDs by just taking an AND and a NOT and connecting the output. It does the exact same thing as the documentation we were just reading explained. And you can use these to determine decisions, or you can also use it as a way to, for example, if certain items need to be completed before a character is allowed to a next area, let's say in a campaign, you can have it check using an AND. So you have 3 different inputs. So let's say he needs to turn on the power, so that'd be one input. Then he needs to get the key code, that's second input, and then he needs to access the door. So that's the third input. Once all those are 3, it'll say, hey, I have a true output here. And then you can take this and put this into a branching node. So you can take the output of this, put it into here. And if it's false, you can have it say, okay, well, he hasn't done that yet. And if it's true, you can say, hey, he's got all 3 things done. We can move on to the next area. And it's pretty much just a way of making decisions and such. And that concludes this tutorial video. Be sure to check out the page that explains logic gates. I'll leave a link in the description. Next time, we'll be taking a look at how to set up a world to accept a level script, and we'll also briefly touch on the in-game F11 menu for the visual scripting tool. But that is all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.